Hello everyone, you're listening to Northern Flights, a Park Pro podcast keeping you up to date with the people, tournaments, and culture of disc golf in Canada and beyond. Consider becoming a patron today at patreon.com/parkpro. Find us on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. Today's episode is brought to you by Disc Golf Park. And now your hosts, Andre, Jesse, and Matt.
And Max once again.
I'm back. Again.
Hopefully we get you for another couple weeks here. Exciting. Season's just about to start. You're listening to the Northern Flights podcast, the number one podcast in the nation, or at least on this corner of the block of this town.
Don't undersell it. Canada's premier disc golf podcast.
Yeah. Name another one. I dare you. Leave it in the comments. Yeah.
The Carrie Neal one.
No,
Yeah,
not you
that
guys.
was really
good. I'm not supposed to know that.
All right. The disc golf is approaching real fast.
It's February.
Yeah, it's crazy. All-Star Weekend's coming up. Are you going to All-Star Weekend?
No. Is it the week before Vegas?
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
Is that next weekend?
No.
2 weeks.
2 weekends.
Yeah.
Exciting though. Very exciting. And just when you thought there was no more sponsorship news coming out, Ella Hansen signs with Discmania. Discmania also making a couple of other big moves.
Cynthia Ricciotti. I don't know how to say her last
I
name.
think it's Ricciotti.
Ricciotti.
Like ricotta, like the cheese.
Ricciotti.
At the end. What did you say?
Is she Italian? Ricciotti. Shout out Kyle Klein.
Yeah.
Tell us.
Yeah, because Kyle listens to the podcast. Leave it in the comments.
Avid listener.
Yeah,
If you're Kyle Klein, let us know in the comments.
The number one Canadian disc golf podcast that Kyle Klein listens to.
Woo!
But of course, we are talking about Jesse and Max both signing with Discmania. Way to go, guys.
Thank you. Yeah, it's pretty exciting stuff. Oh, so
Little
exciting.
delay.
Soundboard. Hey. Yeah, no, it's super exciting to be with Discmania this year for me anyway. It got talked about a little bit. And yeah, it seemed like they wanted someone in this part of the world that was fairly involved with courses, tournaments, community, that kind of stuff. So I'm on the ambassador team this year.
Cool.
Of course, thanks to this podcast for getting all the publicity with my name, pushing it out there.
Yeah.
Avery was listening too with Kyle Klein, apparently.
For sure.
Yeah. No, it's exciting.
Everybody we talked to across the country, Jesse. Someone's like, "Oh, Jesse, yeah, I know Jesse, great guy."
Yeah.
So as ambassadors go, I think you're like ambassador number one.
For sure. Especially like locally. I mean, it's
block.
weird how often I'll be out at Raptors or something and it just comes up where I'm from. I'll say, yeah, Invermere. They'll be like, hey, I know a guy from Invermere. He's like, yeah, it's probably the same guy I know from Invermere. And it always is. So, yeah.
He has a weird affinity for gators. I don't remember his name, but
Mutants now.
Yeah.
oh, it's a mutant guy now.
Yeah,
Sorry,
and
I didn't even mention the G word.
Obviously I'm probably not supposed to promote other brands, but I will take an aside, as I always do, but in the first 3 minutes of the podcast. I was playing with a cherished gator and I snapped it in half on a tree. I bought one in Edmonton and I just instantly DM'd Matt, can you bring this? Because I need it for Saturday. I need this faster than the mail can get it here, please. And he just homeboyed out, drove across the city and grabbed it and drove it straight to the tournament for me. So
Amazing.
yeah, it was awesome.
Gator Express.
Gator Express. Yeah.
Well, who needs that thing anymore?
No, not when you've got a mutant like this one. Other things about my stuff, I guess that's exciting is that we're also going to get some support in conjunction with Toplink Disc Golf and Discmania together to get some discs for school programs and camps and stuff like that to grow the sport around here. So that's probably what I'm most excited about overall. Yeah, and just throwing a bag of mostly new plastic, trying new things out for the first time in a long time, and that's pretty exciting.
Was there anything that you used on a regular basis that was already Discmania?
Yeah, half my bag was Discmania already, so the transition will be pretty easy. I was goofing around with an astronaut for trick shots. I had a cloud breaker in the bag. I had 3 instincts, essence, origin, P3X, P2, and I was putting with P1s. So, and actually I was using methods at the end of the season as well. So not a huge transition, but filling in some of those driver slots and trying out some new approach discs. Approach discs. I am trying out new approach discs in the Tactic. So that's a new and exciting one, and I'm already clicking with it fairly well. So yeah, excited for what the bag has coming. And the much more exciting news being Max with his 5th year with Discmania.
1 year deal. It is the 5th year.
It is the 5th year.
Yeah, you were saying today that a bunch of people DM'd you congratulating you on a 5-year contract because they misread your post.
Including Matt.
Including Matt.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely see how you can mix that up because it's pretty. I mean, you see the 5, you assume that it's a 5-year deal. But maybe that was on purpose. So, but yeah, 1 year deal.
Cool.
Sticking with what I know.
Makes sense.
I mean, yeah, comfortable with the discs. They make great discs. A lot of exciting stuff coming from them as well. The whole Simon news was a bit of a shock to everybody. So we'll see how they bounce back from that and where, I mean, signature lines go. I mean, Simon definitely had a good stock in all the Simon signature discs. So whether or not that just goes out to different players or if they just kind of swivel and do something new.
Yeah.
But it'll be cool to see how they transition. I mean, if it's just the Eagle show now or if a lot of the almost top tier guys kind of blossom and take some of that weight off of Eagle's shoulders. But yeah, it feels good. Didn't have to do a new bag transition, so comfortable for the start of the season. And
how much does that new bag idea come into play when you're looking at contracts?
I think it depends on where in the off season. Like we were getting towards the end of the off season, and you only have a couple of weeks before the start of the season, and that would be kind of tough just to go. Okay, got to get a box of new discs and figure out what I like.
Mm-hmm.
That's a bit daunting, but I think most people could figure things out in a month or two. Especially if you're already dialed in. It's one thing if you're maybe still trying to get in the swing of things and then adding on, learning new molds and learning what works for your game. But definitely happy to stay with Discmania. They have really, I think, established themselves as one of the top tier manufacturers, and now doing their own manufacturing, having a lot more control in their releases. And I mean, they might still not be at full production yet, but I think once they do get into that groove, they're just going to be pushing more plastic than anybody. And I think they still have that popularity with, I mean, they definitely had a peak where it was every release was just the biggest thing in disc golf. And I think they've kept a lot of that, even though there has been some growing pains with switching to their own manufacturing and trying to figure out molds and maybe not having the depth on the shelves that everybody else does, or like the big guys have. But I think it'll get there pretty soon. They've always kind of been quality over quantity, so you know what you're going to get, and maybe taking a little extra time figuring out, like, I mean, they're making these molds from scratch. Like, they're not allowed to just ring up Innova and say, can we have our old FD back?
Yeah.
They're making that mold, like trying to recreate it in some way, or even probably just tweaking it to see if they can make it a little better. I mean, with these like DD1, CD1, FD1, they're kind of old discs, but a little tweaked. And I mean, I've been really enjoying all the ones I've been able to throw. So I think they're really taking what they have learned and trying to make it better.
Cool. Very cool. Where's there, are you, if you're allowed to say anything, is there any stipulations in your contract about like how many tournaments you have to hit or anything like that?
I think like requirements were pretty soft.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess the biggest detail of it is now that I'm in North America for the majority of the year, I'm going to be, handled by the US side of things. Before I was with the Europe team, and it was a little tough last year with just getting product and like who am I talking to about coming to the warehouse in Colorado, and not really having the connections that everybody else has, because I haven't really talked to anybody on the state side. So now getting in touch with everybody there, and Avery was a big part of just contract negotiations and getting me connected to everybody else. And it'll be cool to see the US side of things, because it is kind of two different entities, the Europe team and the North American team. So being represented by the US squad will be a bit more, hanging out with the Colorado guys and getting to know them. But yeah, the contract details, I think it was like 15 PDGA sanctioned events, and like, so it's not super rigorous what they like the bare minimum is. But obviously I'm going to be playing a pretty similar season to last year. And I mean, majority Pro Tour, a little bit of a extended European swing, and a couple tournaments here and there that I can fit in.
Cool. Awesome.
I'll say something about that too, because my contract has tournaments that are required to be played and things like that. And I will say that I turned down a couple other manufacturers this year, and Discmania had the most generous contract with the least requirements. Not saying that it's bad to have, a standard for your players, but it's nice to know that if you don't play 18 tournaments in rural British Columbia, which means you have to travel halfway across the country, that your sponsor is going to be mad at you. So, yeah, definitely very happy with what they offered and what they're asking.
Yeah, and as far as like the tournament requirements, I'm sure they're less for you just being more on the ambassador side of things and more like trying to put the word out there to, like you said, schools and building courses and stuff like that. So
yeah, for sure. I still have to play 10.
Yeah, which,
but,
I mean, you're going to play 4 of them in April. So
I know, right? I was thinking about Max having to play 15. I was like, he's going to be done by May long. We'll check all his boxes already. But yeah, no, definitely good that way. And like I said, that 18 number I threw out is a real number for other people throwing out contracts to guys my level.
Crazy.
Yeah. Definitely a big commitment to gas money and stuff like that to pick the 18 closest. You're going to Vancouver at least.
Oh, from here, for sure.
Yeah. Mid-Saskatchewan to Vancouver to catch 18 tournaments.
Matt, could you imagine being in Saskatchewan trying to do this?
Yeah, you're driving between Thunder Bay and Calgary to catch
or Manitoba. Like, if you're in Manitoba, you got to drive either to Ontario.
Yeah. Well, I know Brian Freeze out in Manitoba, and I think he hops down to the Dakotas and things and goes south because it's a little easier than, going left and right in Canada. You don't catch as many as dipping south for a while.
Yeah, that makes sense. You got anything on these contracts there, Matt?
Yeah. I mean, first of all, congratulations, Discmania.
Wow.
Right.
First and foremost, 2 great pickups. And congratulations to you guys too. Representing the Shield. I have a nerdy disc question. Are you guys only allowed to throw stuff out of their L64 Yikun and Swedish production facility, or can you grab all those old Innova made beauties that I know you have hanging out in your basement, Jesse?
Well, I mean, Innova molded Discmania stuff is still fair game for sure.
Nice.
But it's because we used to be able to throw straight up Innova stamped, they didn't want you to throw destroyers and Firebirds and all that.
Where there's a hole in the lineup.
Yeah, they allowed for a Gator when we didn't have the MD5 some kind of approach putter, a pig or something when we didn't have a tactic. There was a few, or like even Eagle was throwing the max a lot because we didn't have that super. I mean, a PD2 is pretty stable, but there was that utility slot, like
That
even before.
splicey kind of thing, yeah.
But I mean, over the past couple of years, they've filled every hole that they needed to, and I don't think there is a real argument to really needing one more in the lineup. I mean, now with CD2s or the CD1 coming back, and I mean, there's a lot of out of production or used to be out of production molds that a lot of people would like to see back, but I think they're gonna get around to it when they have the resources and the time.
Yeah, obviously there's a lot of niche favorites in the Discmania lineup, but if you're looking for a TDX, there's probably more desired discs to be coming out first, and I think they've done a pretty good job of selecting molds to push out. When I didn't know about the CD1 release when we were starting to talk about this, and I was going, oh God, my Thunderbird, what am I going to do? And then I threw maxes that came in as allotment. I was like, oh, I don't need that at all anymore. We're looked after.
I've got one C-Line TD. It's in my bag. But if one of you guys needs an old TD, you let me know. I'll hook you up.
And honestly, the Essence kind of does that stuff, at least from, I didn't throw the TDX or I think TD2, but there was no TD3. Yeah.
No TD3.
Yeah. Really, it's an Essence plus 1 speed, minus 1 speed.
And for the most part, those, I mean, I had a S-Line TD that was not that flippy. It was supposed to be, but it was like, you got to really try to get it on a roller. But for the most part, like the TD2 and TDX were definitely roller discs for most people. I mean, yeah, coming from maybe the longer throwing side, but I'm sure obviously most people can have a use for all of these discs in lower arm speeds as well. But yeah, definitely more of an understable disc that when I got my S-Line TD, I was like, this thing shouldn't fly like this. This thing's like a bomber.
That's an end of a molding thing, I think, because friend of the program and local disc golfer Aiden has a Sidewinder in Star Plastic that's like a Thunderbird or like a Beat Sexton Firebird. It's the goofiest disc by the numbers versus how it flies.
I think Jay also has a Roadrunner that's like stable.
Yeah. The Heiser Roadrunner.
Yeah.
I got one more thing to add that we talked about reallocating the molds that Simon left behind. It'll be a really interesting little case study because you have to think the like Color Glow C-Line P2.
Sky God 3.
The Sky God.
Or Sky God 4.
They're very, very popular discs and something that a lot of people are throwing. I think they do just fine with anybody else's face on them because they're such a good disc. But if they don't, that will definitely be the tell of what Simon's value to the marketing side was.
For sure. And yeah, who's to say that that'll ever be like public knowledge or even kind of graspable from our point of view. But yeah, like just those like signature, like Doombird, like he just has so many that are just such a staple and so synonymous with Discmania that it's just hard to wrap your head. Like I don't see them just coming out with a Sky God 5 and having a Kyle Klein Sky God 5. That would be pretty tough to sell, but
no offense, Kyle, we know you're listening.
But yeah, I mean anybody's name or Eagle, like just to not have that Simon Lizotte name on it, and because you think Sky God and Doombird and what else does he have? Crescent Falcon and all that. It's just Simon is there. Like it's a Simon disc, so it's hard to think that they can just rebrand it and keep the same name.
I don't think they'll take the same name for sure, but just like the same spec on the disc, the Color Glow, the what have you, things like that.
I forgot about the Doombird 4s that are coming out that are still Simon brand.
Are they sold out though?
I think they're sold out.
I think they're done.
Yeah.
There'll be some at the warehouse.
There'll be some sneaky warehouse ones for sure.
All right. Yeah. So when you guys, Max, when you win your first Silver Series this year and they give you a commemorative disc? What's it going to be? What are you going to put your stamp on? And then follow up, same question to Jesse.
Wow.
You got to start thinking
tough.
about these
That's
things.
tough.
You
Are
guys
you
will
not
think
planning
about
on
that.
winning one?
You guys will think about that, and I will celebrate your guys' signings with a beer. We haven't had a beer on the show in a long time. I will be the only one partaking because Max is gluten-free. Jesse is Jesse on his...
I'm trying not to drink as much right now so I can lose a couple pounds.
And Matt has his tea, his PDGA tea. But me, it's Friday night. I'm feeling pretty good. Tonight we have a Russell Brewing Black Cherry Stout. And I'm sure Jesse is salivating over it.
Nope, I'm not. But Russell Brewing does make some great beers.
They do.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm into cherry, like
smell
super sweet stouts.
It's good. It's the cherry is definitely a part of it, but
I just find a lot of cherry stuff goes heavy on the cherry.
yeah, it's definitely not one you want like more than a glass from this kind of thing. Maybe a glass or two.
Totally.
But back to the question.
I mean, they usually only like put a bottom stamp on an already releasing disc.
That's a cop-out answer.
But if I could do a signature disc, plastic mold. I mean, I've definitely had.
Can I guess first?
Sure.
Is it a Color Glow PD2?
I wouldn't be too picky on the color glow, but a glow of some sort PD2 would be nice. I mean, they had that run of glow PD2s before the DD3, and that was like basically their bomber driver, and that's what I got used to. And I mean, now it's almost a predominantly forehand disc for me, just because it's just slightly less stable than a usual PD2, but I just like that rim for a forehand. And just having them in all different wears is just really, really helpful. Like I have now one that's like basically a roller disc, and just that like hyzer flip forehand. But yeah, the glow PD2 has definitely been one that I've just, whenever I hear somebody has an extra one, I want it. And I've probably had and lost 10, 20. So it hurts, but
well, if you get a signature one,
disc.
you won't lose.
Exactly.
Yeah. Hey, you just need to put your phone number on the stamp too, because it's already going to have your name on it.
Doesn't help.
Yeah,
Trust me. I've seen too many that I've just lost. Like some just on the fairway, playing a doubles tournament, forget to pick it up. Has my name and number on it, and I see it on the marketplace weeks later. It's just like the audacity on these kids these days. They just don't get it.
No.
So I've a related question. We're not going to forget to go back to Jesse on this one. Somebody posted on a local Facebook group that they got their first ace last year, and I looked at the disc, and it had my handwriting on it, and it had the flight numbers on it because it was one of the first discs I ever bought, and I wrote flight numbers on the front of every single disc that I got because I had no idea what they were, and it had my name on the back. And it was a glow, like you could see all of it. And the way I had lost it was we'd let somebody play through while we were looking for somebody's disc. And they picked up my disc off the middle of the fairway when they came through.
Brutal.
And I didn't see it for probably 4 years until this guy posts about getting his first ace. And I was like, hey, man, congrats. I wouldn't mind my disc back, though.
How long were you looking at? Like, because you obviously went up the fairway to see that it was gone. How long did you look at it?
Not long. Like it was, we were sort of in the woods, and then it was just enough time for somebody to play through. And then when we got back, and I was like, I was right in the middle of the fairway, wasn't I? And everyone was so confused. I was like, what? I was just, I parked that thing in the middle of the fairway.
Did you think that it was him that picked it up, or did you just chalk it up as weird? Lost.
I was pretty sure somebody had picked it up because you don't lose a disc in the middle of the fairway, when you see it land. So I was pretty sure somebody had picked it up, but then we couldn't see them. And I think it was on hole 18 at Rundle, which is right next to the parking lot. So I think they just putted out and bolted. So I let him keep the disc. I didn't want somebody else's first ace disc.
All right, I got an
a
equally
glow
dirty
destroyer.
story. I got an equally dirty one. BC Provincials 2017, 2018. Playing pre-tournament doubles. The guys in my group, 2 of them had at least 10 twisted tees each. And just by saying that, you know the type of person I'm talking about. I had this Pro Destroyer that I loved. One of the long holes at Rose Hill. Put it way out there. They walked up ahead because a buddy of mine caught up with our group to talk to them. Can't find the disc anywhere. I thought it was a pretty good shot. Couldn't find it. Wow. Right before the tournament. I'm hooped. Whatever. 6 months later, Max's dad goes, "Hey, I didn't know you threw Pro Destroyers. I found one you traded with one of your friends playing out here in Vancouver." I was like, "I didn't trade anything there." He was like, "Pre-flight number white one with red stamp." He's like, yeah, that's the one. Totally. I'm like, "Who had it?" Tells me who it was. It was one of the guys in my group that was drinking it.
So watched you throw the shot, goes up to look for it, picks it up,
Thanks.
pockets it, and doesn't say anything about it.
We had like another 7 holes left.
What a guy.
And, at that time, I think I had like 25 discs total. And I had this guy on the hit list for like years afterwards. If I ever saw him, I was so choked. Oh,
That's
great
funny.
disc that one was.
That's pretty bad.
Slimy dude.
Oh, it's the slimiest. I don't think you can get slimier.
No. And I didn't even think to ask. Like, I asked, anybody see it? Anybody see it? Oh, man, I need that for the tournament. And they're like, yeah, we've been looking for a while. And, like, there's groups backing up. You're like, yeah, you're right. Okay. It would be bad of me to sit around and look for too much longer.
Oh,
Dirty guys.
I've got almost as dirty a story. It was on a disc golf road trip through the Pacific Northwest, and we found somebody's disc in Washington somewhere that was from Alberta, and texted him like, "Hey, like, good news, we found your disc," and I think it was at SeaTac or something like that. And then we were still pretty new. Me and my friends were still pretty new to disc golf, so we wanted to try his disc out, and then we lost it. Next round we played.
I've heard a lot of stories like that.
And then he texted us back. He's like, "Oh man, I don't want that old thing anymore." We're like, "Whew." Good.
Got
You might get
another
a
one
call
like
from-
that one now.
Story time.
So I'm at Nipika, and I find a signed by Johnny McRae St. Pro
Wow.
with a number on the rim. I get back and text. It's a Florida number. Makes sense. Johnny's down there. I'm like, oh wow! Like, I didn't know people would travel that far to play Nipika before. And he's like, "Nippa who?" I'm like, "Where are you?" I'm like, "I don't know what you're talking about." He had lost that in like Ontario on a trip up there. Then someone maybe that was playing a tournament down or whatever, I guess, had made its way to Calgary, and then Calgary to Nipika. And this guy's like, "I haven't seen that thing for 4 years."
Traveling discs.
I'm like, "Well, it's in the bush here in BC." It's like, "I ain't never been to BC, but okay." It's in my basement. Maybe I'll
There you
donate
go.
it to someone on the podcast. He said we could keep it.
Perfect.
Nice.
Signed by Johnny McRae.
The lesson is, if there's a number on it, call the number.
ASAP.
Try to get it back. It's just,
And
just
don't
what you do.
just like put it out.
Respect the game,
Don't just put it out on the course for someone else to do that.
because they're probably not going to do it.
Exactly. I've had it where I've had people call me and they're like, "Hey, I left your disc at the start of the course." I'm like, "Okay, cool." Half hour later, I go and it's gone.
All
Yeah.
right, Max's story time. Konopiste European Championships. I forget a green Cloudbreaker one on the practice field. I am on hole 11, and somebody's like, "Oh, Max, I got your disc. I'll put it on hole 15 for you when you get here." Shows me a picture of it sitting on the bench on hole 15. I'm like 3 holes away, so I'm like, perfect. That's a hole that I would probably throw it on. Go get there, gone. Lost and found, nowhere to be seen.
Oh,
Brutal.
people.
And it's like
Yeah.
European Championships. There's only the people who are there to play, and this was, I think, the COVID year, so it was like, no. Was there no
Spectators.
spectators?
Low on
Yeah.
others.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's only people you know,
Crazy.
and somebody just yoinks it.
Claude
And
Baker won,
only
man.
people that would know how painful that is for a professional disc golfer.
I mean,
And
it's
still
probably
did it.
less painful because I have a couple of those, but still,
Yeah.
Nice.
to lose it at that prestigious of a tournament is just
Crazy.
yeah. I can't wrap my hand around it.
Yeah, it's not like it was like the local park course
Yeah.
where homeboy with one disc is playing behind
Yeah.
you and is excited he found something. Some 1030 rated dude stole your
It's
disc.
like Nicholas Antela was like, "Ooh,
Yeah.
another one for my
Yeah.
collection."
We can wipe this ink.
Yeah. So I guess it's a good time to ask our listeners if they've had a bad lost disc story and put it in the comments on YouTube, and maybe we'll give it a shout out on the next podcast.
Share the pain.
Yeah,
Kyle
exactly.
Klein.
I
Is
feel
our
like we've
support
all been
group.
there. Yeah, Kyle Klein. What's Kyle Klein? What's your story? Your worst lost
I have a
disc
Kyle
story.
Klein story, but I'll save it for later.
All
'cause
right.
I think I've told Jesse this one. But good story, but stay tuned
All right.
next week.
Yeah, next week. On Northern
All right,
Flights.
Jesse, you've had lots of time to think about this. Your signature Discmania disc when you win every single event in Canada and they promote you instantly to the top team. What's your disc?
If they bring back the P3X, it would definitely be a C-Line P3X. If it's stuff that exists right now, those that know me know we mostly play in the woods up here. So a shapeable disc, probably, if we could get that new CD1 in something just a little softer, like a Color Glow type plastic, that's the money maker for me, for sure.
All right, no more Nate Perkins. You can get that essence.
You know what?
Yeah.
I'm kind of falling out of love with it because for those that don't know this, we play at pretty high elevation here, so things are fairly stable. If I go any lower elevation with that essence, it's a Spike Heiser to roller disc.
Yeah, that's fair.
So yeah,
I was just thinking, we probably have a lot of newer players that are listening. Can you guys explain the numbering system and the PD, the C, and how did the
Discmania
numbers work?
nomenclature.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Start her off, Jesse.
you dirty guy. So typically, the letters themselves, DD is distance driver, CD is control driver, FD is fairway driver, MD is mid-range driver, and the P is just putter. And then typically, the higher the number gets, the more extreme the characteristics of the disc get. So the PD being a power driver, the regular PD, stable 10 speed. The PD2, very overstable 12 speed. Same with like the TDs we were talking about that don't exist anymore. The regular TD was supposed to be turning driver, like a slightly flippy. I think they're
10 speed.
they're different speeds, but that one might be 9 or 10 speed. And then the TD2 was flippier, and the TDX was even flippier.
Yeah.
And the X,
I would almost reach to say that it is almost always like the PD is a 10, PD2 is a 12. I guess the PD3 was an 11, but it's that the first one's slowest and the last one's the fastest. Like FD, FD2, both 7 speeds. FD3 is a 9 speed.
yeah,
I think the TDs were the same.
it might be the X thing where they're allowed to get slower, and I don't know what the X is supposed to
Extreme.
mean because I'm pretty sure the DD, the Frenzy, was a 13 speed, like a slightly flippier boss, and the DDX was one step slower.
I think it might just be like, we don't want to call it a P or DD.
We don't want to put it in the numbering
so they'll
system.
just put it in between.
We give it a letter instead. Then we're going to the DDY and the DDZ.
Yeah. Or if it's just like kind of like, because it's like the P3 and the P3X. I haven't seen a lot of P3s, but I know they were pretty domey and
The P3X is just the P3 with a bead.
I've only seen flat P3Xs, and I know that X doesn't mean flat like it does in other lines, but I know the P3 was pretty domey and the P3X was flat, but I'm not sure about the bead thing. But P1, P1X, P1 is beadless
Yeah, and P1X is beaded.
beaded. So putters might have a beaded
A
quality.
bead on the X. Yeah, I don't think I've actually held a P3 for real to know if they're domey or not. Ben Loggins might have putt with them for a while. I have a vague memory of like 4 years ago, he had green, either P3 or P3Xs in D-line he was putting with.
I'm sure he'll mention in the comments
Because
whether he was right. Or
Ben listens and does comment. So
Yes, exactly.
Ben, correct me. please.
Shout out Kyle Klein if you know what Ben Loggins was putting last year.
Yes, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Kyle Klein will tell you what Ben Loggins was putting with 3 years ago.
But yeah, it definitely gets confusing once you add the active line and the evolution line, since they don't follow the same
No, yeah.
naming strategies at all. But they also have their own little twist to it, and
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of cool to have those different strains where they have a different kind of naming system that all kind of sounds,
Yeah.
evolution line a little more spacey and physicsy, and then the active line has gone through some redesigns and have a little different taste to it. But
Mhm.
Well, and then if you want to get really confusing, the original Discmania discs had the letter number combo and a name, like the P2 is the Psycho.
Mm,
Yeah.
right.
but it's kind of like the
PD2?
signature
What's the PD2 name? This is your test for the day.
chaos,
You got it. What's the DD name?
hysteria,
Is it? What's the Frenzy then?
frenzy.
Is that the DD? That's a DD something. The FD is the Jackal.
PD was the freak.
PD was the Freak. We've just made this so much
MD.
worse for everybody.
MD.
Yeah. But we got to have some nerds on the Discmania nerds. Let our listeners.
Yeah,
Totally. This thing. Let us know in the comments.
Maybe the MD was the hysteria.
I feel like that's a fast disc. That's a fast disc name. Because the first mid-range was the Gremlin, which was the Innova Gremlin too, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But
Right?
the MD. He was the MD2. Anyways.
Yeah, this is a losing
Moving
battle.
on.
That's
Fun to
okay.
talk about, but yeah.
We will move on here. That is not the only big signing extension that we have to talk about, because Disc Golf Park has renewed its sponsorship with Northern Flights.
Wow.
That's right.
Congratulations.
Yes, thank you. Disc Golf Park is a unique disc golf course concept developed in Finland back in 2005. It is based on the idea of building sports facilities in an environmentally friendly way. Disc Golf Park provides great experiences for players of all skill levels, from beginners to professionals. Our main ideology is to introduce disc golf to new audiences. There are a number of options to suit any kind of course, and all official disc golf parks include professional and safe course design, Disc Golf Park Pro targets, tee pads, and tee signs, as well as an info board to welcome players to the course. The Disc Golf Park World concept consists of multiple courses designed for different types of players. Multi-golf is a new, fun activity for the whole family. In multi-golf, 3 forms of golf are played: foot golf, disc golf, and park-style pitch and putt. School Disc Golf Park offers the students a new and interesting form of exercise for the physical education classes. A course suitable for schools can be designed even on a small area, for instance, a schoolyard. Furthermore, the costs of school disc golf park are lower than those of regular disc golf parks. We also offer private and group lessons or clinics. For more information, check out the website at discgolfpark.com and request a quote today.
2005. Disc Golf Park. That's before Discmania. Discmania is 2006.
Wow.
I didn't know that.
There you go.
Well, you get no need for discs if there's no disc golf park.
Yeah.
I wonder if it was, I'm not 100% sure on the timeline, but back when they only did like stamped discs, where kind of like DD was.
Oh, yeah.
Where it
maybe.
was before they even had their own.
They probably started this concept. Let us know in the comments.
Yeah. Kyle Klein. I'm sure you know.
How Klein, shout out.
Yeah, what is it? Fly 18 Europe, technically the company name?
Spin 18 now. I'm not sure if they've gone.
Oh, maybe
under.
it was Spin 18. I always get the Spin TV and Spin 18 twist, and I think I'm messing it up. But yeah, the OG.
I think the signage is something that we don't really talk about as much. Like as disc golfers, we talk a lot about baskets. But if you've had the experience of traveling around somewhere and playing courses for the first time, there's like nothing that makes that course stand out more than if it has good, professional, clean signage around it. You're like, whoa, we're at a serious disc golf course here.
Or at least like well done signs. Like you can have it scratched into a tree, but if it's got all the information there, it makes a huge difference.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of just a number, a distance, in a vague area. It's like that kind of that way around the corner.
And it prevents like people from camping out and using your targets as barbecues and
I don't know
that
about
kind of thing. Like it really,
I think campers are going to camp.
Campers are going to camp.
Campers don't camp.
Okay, story time. I'm playing a goof around tournament at Baker Park. Not really goof around. It's a C tier of some kind. But for those that don't know, that is the most played course in Canada. The UDisc stats just came out for it again. And mid-tournament, we get halfway through the course, and this family, I kid you not, sets up a volleyball net and a barbecue and a fold-up table in the middle of the fairway. And I'm sitting there like, I'm going to hit one of you, and it's not going to go well. Had asked them to move. Half of them were super polite and started packing up, and then the other ones just dug their heels in and was like, this is our park too. We can do what we want. And I was like, for those that know, Lobo, help! The TD comes in and he's like, we have the space reserved today. You need to leave. Cleared all out. And as soon as it cleared out, we played the hole. Looked back from 2 holes later. A different group of people started setting up like a bocce game in the middle of the same fairway.
Yeah.
And there's signs with maps and distances. So,
But they are helpful.
Mm.
Disc golfers appreciate good signs.
Oh, these could be coasters.
Well, there you go. Discmania coasters.
Yeah.
Cool.
Did Maddie write that for you?
He did write that for me.
I thought so.
You thought I would write? Yeah, I can't. I'm not that articulate.
No, just shout out to Maddie,
And
the Disc Golf Park guy from
Matty
this area.
Reardon. For those of
Matthew
you just
Reardon.
tuning in, not me.
Supporting our stuff for a
nothing
long
to do
time. Every time that I've done the little Disc Golf Park spiel, Maddie was the guy that was paying the Disc Golf Park sponsorship. So shout out to him.
Good dude.
See you Sunday.
Yeah, he's a good designer as well. So definitely.
And sign up for Big Bear this year.
Yeah.
Just saying.
I mean,
what weekend is it?
June 8th?
4th to
Oh,
6th.
8th doesn't sound like a weekend.
June, it's around there. It's that weekend.
Yeah.
It's that like
4th,
first
5th,
weekend.
6th.
Yeah, 4th, 5th, 6th ish, around there.
I can't remember what year I played Big Bear Classic, but it was probably like 09.
Was it pre-jersey or post-jersey?
Ooh,
Because
Could've been
pre-jersey is like 05,
yeah.
right?
04.
And it might have been in the spring.
Definitely would
Because
want
they
to
used to do it like ludicrously early.
go back to a Big Bear Classic. Still have the towels, the golf towels, with a little Haida art on it.
Nice.
Oh, dang.
I'll have to check the year and go home. Check it. I'll get back to you guys.
Well, this one's the 23rd.
The 23rd.
So it started in 2000? That's easy math.
Super easy math.
Smart.
There you go.
Wicked smart. You should bring that towel on Sunday.
It's probably barely legible, but no, I will. I will. Maddie will smile.
Yeah, our little crosstalk here, we are going to play with Maddie in Canmore on the course they play the Big Bear Classic on Sunday. So
Probably some snow on the course.
yeah, he said the tee pads are great though. That's the other thing. Those Disc Golf Park tee pads, they got the long turf, so they shovel off nicely and get good traction in all conditions.
Cool.
Turf is the future.
And just like if you haven't played that course, go play that course because it's in the mountains. It's
Nordic Center.
It's about as Canadian as it gets.
Yeah, you might not remember how
Big words.
beautiful that course is.
Yeah, no.
Like the views are nuts there.
Yeah.
It is. Sorry to anybody who thinks they've got a nice course because I think we've built some nice courses too, but there's no course with better views than the Canmore Nordic Center.
Cool. We can move on. We got a different little thing here. We're gonna do. We started off with an in the bag because it was requested, but Max just got a box in the mail. So we're going to start off with a little bit of a in the box.
Fresh
If
box.
you haven't, if you're listening on Spotify, pause it, look at the time, go to YouTube, watch the YouTube, because it's always nice to have a little bit of a visual for this. If you want to keep listening, I will describe every action. He's opening the box now. He's
First cut.
pulled out the Exacto knife.
Fresh from the Discmania warehouse in Colorado.
Third
Had
cut
to
of the
pay
Exacto
duty
knife
on
is
this
complete.
thing.
He's opening the box. He's got one flap open, two flaps open, three. There's the fourth.
Oh, first, a little thank you note. We don't have to read that right now. That's not important. But, ooh, brand new S-line plastic.
That's
How does
real
it
nice.
feel?
I'm pretty hot for this already. I'm not gonna lie.
You got a couple DD3s, a couple PDs, a couple FDs.
Oh,
That
yeah.
stuff is
That's the
grippy.
stuff. That's the
For
squeak
that.
you want to hear.
ASMR. Probably not going to be a nice thing to listen to, but
It's not bad. I don't
Oh,
think.
no. If you're a disc golfer, that's the stuff.
that's the stuff. So yeah, basically all of their new releases, other than the signature lines, have been C-line. So this is your first feel of stock line, S-line drivers.
Yeah, no kidding. I'll trade you purple for a blue.
They feel nice.
See if there's any difference. This a little stiffer.
Yeah.
The blue's a little stiffer than the purple. Same tackiness, and me personally, this is kind of exactly what I'm looking for in a premium plastic. I like that tackiness. I want the grip, but I don't want it to be floppy. In like the world of G-line and stuff like that, no thank you. Where this, you get all the grip, but you don't have that floppiness to it at all. I do think the purple may be a bit more gummy than the blue one I've got.
Could be the mold as well.
Yeah, could definitely.
But these are full weight DD3, or some 173, 175.
176 on the PD here.
Interesting.
176 is definitely the max allowed weight for these. It's not overweight or anything weird like that. Feels good. Feels really good.
This is really nice.
And for those that haven't seen them thrown yet, some of the other team members have got them already and are posting little reviews and things. I know Casey White put out a pretty good one showing the flights with the shot trackers, and Ella just threw one up on Instagram, throwing the DD3.
Kyle Klein may have. We don't know.
I need
Leave
the
a
origin.
note in
Let
the
us know.
comments, Kyle,
Let us
if you
know.
haven't.
How did this start? Did what have I done? What have I done?
This is
We're
the
going to, the season finale, we got to have Kyle Klein on.
100%. This is the Discmania. Kyle Klein.
I don't even
episode.
really know him that well. I've like played.
Well, you
one
got a
round
whole
with him.
summer to get to know him real good.
I'm going to tell the Kyle Klein story real quick. It's like
Yeah.
a good story, but I can get it out quick. Portland Open. We were playing in the same group. Warming up. It's like a ball golf property. It's like a driving range. Everybody's throwing in the same area, picking up discs. We get to hole 5, and I throw my red C-line DD3 prototype. They're all the same stamp, same color. I go to pick mine out of my bag, and I see Kyle Klein's gonna throw his. That's the same. So I'm like, oh, that's funny. I better check and make sure we're not playing from the same disc. I look at my disc. It's got KK in the rim. And I'm like, oh no. So I didn't trust that, but Kyle Klein was throwing first, so he throws what he thinks is his DD3, which has my name on it. Perfect. Lands in the middle of the fairway. I pull out another DD3, throw it. We're walking down the fairway, and I show him the inside of my disc that has his name on it, and he was like, that's so weird. It flew exactly how I wanted it to. And so we just traded back and pretended it didn't happen. But we must have just swapped on the warm-up field, and
Yeah.
crazy. Would have been funny if it was way flippier and he just throws a thrower on a par 4 and he's just like, what happened?
Yeah.
Max.
It worked out. Good laugh.
Totally. And again, for our new listeners, just because you have the same disc, and we kind of went over this a little bit, doesn't mean you have the same disc. Discs vary quite a bit in their plastics, like we just kind of mentioned about the blue from the purple to the orange. Yeah, so you can get different stiffness, and obviously that affects the flight of the disc as well. So, and
yeah, I've got a couple of ions, and one of them always goes like 20 feet to the right of the gap that I'm trying to hit, and I got another one that always goes 20 feet to the left of the gap that I'm trying to hit, and I can't tell what the difference in the plastic is, but maybe
It's got to be the disc.
Yeah.
Well, the parting line height thing is kind of the big test often, which is why I was flopping around like a crazy person.
yeah, I thought maybe you pulled something in your leg, and then I was like, oh, he's checking the parting line.
Yeah, essentially.
And for our new disc golfers,
Yeah, new disc golfers, you're going to learn a whole bunch now. If you take two discs of the exact same mold and the same plastic and set them down on a table, flat like that, get down to eye level and look at where the edges of the wing are. One will be higher or lower than the other, or maybe the same. You can tell on new discs because there's usually just the slightest bit of flashing there. It's a good way to line them up. The one that is lower will always be more understable if they're in the same plastic with the same other characteristics, weights, and things like that.
This one doesn't have super obvious flashing on it. But...
yeah, there you go.
Nerds.
Great info.
Nerds.
What was that noise I just heard?
That was my.
You haven't heard his text.
Do you
tone.
just? We were just talking about nerds, and your
Yeah,
phone
lightsaber.
just text noise was a lightsaber sound.
It checks out. We're nerds.
Yeah, that's perfect timing. Perfect timing. Okay, well, we on that note,
You're turning a little red, Andre.
yeah, that's all right. I don't know why. I'm hot, and I've had a beverage, so I'm not embarrassed by my cell phone. My wife asked about it all the time. She's like, "It doesn't sound like a lightsaber." I was like, "It does when I have my headphones in." But we can move on to your bag. So we're
in the box in the bag.
Yeah, in the box in the bag, and this one's a little bit different here. I have written out a couple of scenarios here, and you guys can feel free to hop in and maybe add a couple here. But instead of just listing a disc and why you like it and whatnot, we're gonna go as if you're on the course. So this first one is going to be an example, aka it's essentially just your putter, but you're lining up a 36-foot putt. Which disc do you grab, and why?
Yeah, I mean putters. I've kind of always just putt with a P2, but I've kind of been switching it up. This is the Rainmaker, mostly just because they haven't really came out with the Flex 3 P2s yet.
Yeah.
So this is a little stiffer than the Flex 2s, and a Rainmaker is just a really kind of a flattened P2, just a little more shallow. It's supposed to be a little less stable. Which is another thing. I don't usually putt with just fresh P2s because they are pretty overstable to begin with. Like to beat them in a bit more. But yeah, kind of testing this one out. Been liking them, but definitely have felt the new P1s as well. They feel real nice, really similar to a P2, but just that small depth difference. But yeah, just kind of switching it up, seeing what feels good. I've putted with P2s ever since I've thrown Discmania, so not bad to see what else is out there as well.
Yeah, cool. And then we'll move on to a little bit more of a challenge here. You're playing on a wooded course. You're in the trees. Off the tee, it's 300 foot to the pin with a low ceiling. And for those who don't know what I mean, it means that there's branches over top, so it's maybe a tighter gap that you have to kind of put one straight through. And
I think our listeners know what a ceiling is.
Well, it's not like, a ceiling, but it's kind of like a ceiling.
That's weird. Yeah.
300 feet. That's what, 90?
Yeah,
92 meters. Yeah, I mean, depending on actually how low the ceiling is, because you could definitely get a putter at 300 feet. But yeah, probably MD3 can get that just straight flight out of it. But yeah, even going up to a FD at that point, depending on the shape of the fairway. I mean, if it's a dead straight shot, a mid-range would be great just to have that minimal fade, but MD3 or FD for sure.
Cool. You guys got anything? You want to hop in the scenario? No?
What, do you want me to come up with a new scenario?
Well, you can come up with one, or you can list the one that's
Or
on
what are
there.
you going to throw? What are you going to throw
I
on
thought
Yeah,
they
well,
were
you
going to
can throw.
go through you. Well, you see my putt. I'll go back to the beginning. Max said P1. Yeah, P1s are sick. I had such putting woes at the end of the year. I bought a stack of P1s just to change it up, and I've never put better in my life. Lots of glide, similar hand feel to the P2. And yeah, just a little rounder.
Definitely different than the old P1s. I have a couple of old P1s that I hated. They just felt weird shape. And these ones look nothing like them.
I never had one of the original ones,
Yeah.
so don't tarnish the name with giving me these bad feedback. But yeah, the new ones are sick. 300-foot low ceiling. I'm kind of with Max. If it's uphill at all, I'm probably going to go instinct. If it's just dead straight, probably going to throw the P1 or the MD1. I'm not super into the MD3 right now, but yeah, keeping it straight under there. Definitely going to reach for one of those mind benders I have. And then if it's downhill or something like that, yeah, P2, throw it, let it drop. Abuse the ceiling as much as you can.
Yeah, and then maybe for our newer listeners, what kind of stability do those discs have?
Straight.
All of them are pretty straight.
Yeah.
Probably MD3 is probably the most overstable, but I'm probably not going to be throwing a brand new one. I have a few that I just beat in pretty nicely. This is one of the prototype C lines MD3s that have seen a couple trees, so it's pretty straight, not a lot of fade, which is what you want in the mid range. But if there's any wind, throwing another factor into it. MD3s are very, very nice in the wind. Hold up the stability.
So you're saying in this hypothetical wooded course, you have thrown this shot and missed your line and hit a few trees?
Never. They were tactical tree hits before the round.
Makes sense. Okay, what's your get out of jail disc? You shanked your shot through no fault of your own, obviously.
Unlucky. Very unlucky.
Yes.
Scramble disc.
What's your scramble disc?
I mean, depending on the distance. I mean, I don't throw a lot of really flippy stuff. So if you're getting tricky, because I'm pretty happy with throwing backhand, forehand. So usually you can shape something without having to go crazy hyzer flip. But yeah, and I'm also not like a tilt guy. So like splice, that's as overstable as it gets for me. So that's going to be my, maybe super ground action skip shot, or I've thrown some weird like rollers that are supposed to just go 90-degree right, flick roller, and splice is great for that. But other than that, like just a super old P2.
Yeah.
For that backhand flippy touchy shot. But
what you got?
Kind of similar thought process, but I bag in Origin, which you don't.
I've been playing around with it.
Yeah, so like standstill Origin, if you need to do some weird shape stuff. I don't mind throwing flippy mids and putters sidearm, which some people don't like. So I can throw like a stand-up sidearm turnover sidearm with an Origin and do fun stuff. And then, the overstable fairway driver would be the other one. I haven't bagged one of the Discmania ones yet, so it'll either be a Splice or FD3 taking that job.
Cool.
If you've never thrown a Splice forehand roller,
have you
listeners,
even played
you're
disc
missing
golf?
out. Yeah. You can pop it almost vertical and it will just roll like a bicycle tire.
It does weird
like
stuff.
80, 85 degrees. It'll just hold that line until it dies. And it's amazing.
Good disc.
I have a bunch of splices because we used them, the meta splice, for our B tier in the players pack last year, and I had some left over. But There's something that I didn't click with right away. I don't know if it's slightly shallow.
They do feel a little weird. I'll give you that. They're not the most comfortable feeling disc in the hand. It is I don't know if it is that just flat, wide rim, because they say it's a 9-speed, but it feels like
Yeah, there's something there.
10, 11, speed.
I have actually, yeah, that's funny because we have my coworker. He's pretty new to disc golf, and he got one of those splices from the tournament, and I kind of was like,
Great beginner disc.
I was like, you're throwing that? He loves it. He throws it all the time. He's like, it's one that I can just I just know how to throw it and I know where it's gonna go. I'm like, well, I guess because it's overstable, but I was like, you should probably think about throwing something else. And I mean, if it works for him, then that's great. But
That was kind of the idea in the players pack. For those that haven't played Raven's Nest, it has some thick, gnarly rough, and so we did links and splices. And the idea is one was going to be a straight putter that everyone can throw, and the other one was going to be obscenely overstable that no matter how you threw, it was going to do the same thing. And the splice was your get out of jail disc if you didn't have one and needed to do some of these crazy things we're talking about. It's like, I don't care if you have 200 foot power or 550 foot power. That thing's going to flex and do all the weird angle things you need to beat these trees.
mm-hmm.
Even if you're Jeff.
Even if you're Jeff.
Sorry, Jeff.
And Eagle McMahon
Jeff.
makes it look like a firebird.
Eagle McMahon makes discs fly different.
Yes.
He's absurd.
Yeah.
Cool. What about your just straight, wide open, 550 to the pin? OB, we'll put a little stipulation here. There's OB on the right, all the way up the fairway, but you got lots of space on the left. So you could put something out and know that it's going to stable up.
Wow. New S-Line DD3 in stores soon.
Squeaky.
I mean, if you're trying to say you don't want to finish right,
Yes.
I mean, yeah, 550. I mean, that's a distance driver every day. I don't like to throw crazy flippy distance drivers either. But yeah, I mean, DD3, that's your run-of-the-mill distance driver for anybody who throws Discmania discs. So yeah, I've lost a lot of Innova molded DD3s that I've just had the most comfortable with. So getting used to the new C-Line stuff, mostly just the prototype red C-Line DD3s that were a little more overstable, that are starting to beat into where those Innova molded ones were. But a lot of the new cloud breakers are both on the understable and overstable side, so a lot to choose from there. But yeah, DD3.
Cool. So there you go.
Putter, putter.
Putter, putter.
550.
Yeah, 550 from the pin. I'm throwing twice.
Yes.
Is the answer.
450 from the pin then.
It's not going to
Jesse?
happen, man.
That probably this, from what I've seen, I threw the like a brand new fresh C-Line DD3, and it was a bit stable for me to really, really get out there. And from the reviews and videos I've seen about these S-Line ones, they're a little straighter, a little flippier out of the box. So that would probably take me from throwing that C-Line one like 380 to this one going 430 or something like that. And that's kind of my jam, and that's what my hope is for these, because beating in that Italian blend C-Line into being flippy enough for me.
They're just so much more stiff. Like, it's just...
They're mean.
These, I mean, it just feels so good to really just put your thumb in it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No.
But in that hot weather, it is nice to have something stiff as well.
And you know, maybe even the Paradigm, for me anyway. I know those aren't out yet, but Max had a couple in the secret stash we were testing out. And yeah, just a little bit of natural turn right out of the box. The neoplastic seems to beat in a little bit quicker too. So if you needed something to stretch some distance and, beat some fade out of it, that might be the disc.
It felt really good in the hand. I've always thought Enigmas kind of feel a little weird.
Mm-hmm.
And they're all like essentially the same disc. I don't know what the philosophy is behind that. Little different numbers, but
Mm-hmm.
essentially the same slot. But felt really good in the hand.
Yeah, I think it's just like a couple mil deeper than the Enigma, because I also had a couple Enigmas, and yeah, they didn't feel quite right, at least for me. And then you throw the Paradigm in your hand, you're like, oh,
That feels nice.
yeah, this is really nice.
I have a question. And this is I probably could ask this off the air afterwards, but maybe our listeners would get some good intel on it. The Cloudbreaker 3 was S line. Is that the same plastic as this, or is that made differently? Do you guys know?
I had a Cloudbreaker 3 and I have one in my bag, and I think at least this purple one feels softer.
Yeah. I would imagine they tweaked it, the actual formula for the S line for these. And who's to say it's not 99% the same, and these ones just came out a little softer? I can't answer that, but Cloudbreaker 3s came out a long time ago, it feels like. So I would imagine they've made some changes to the formula. But I'm not sure how popular those were. I know, I mean, a lot of people threw them just because they were a new release, but I knew most of the top pros were only interested in one color because it was the most stable. But other than that, I don't think it was that sought after.
Yeah.
But I mean, the S line felt, from what I remember, I had a couple of yellow ones and they were really stiff pop top S lines. So these definitely feel, I mean, these ones don't have crazy dome to them. So maybe a domier one would have a little pop in it, but these ones definitely feel a lot more give in it. A little softer.
That's a pop.
I mean, you can't pop
I'm
it.
forcing it to pop,
but,
yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I was curious about that. So. Yeah, I don't know.
We don't always get the secrets. I mean, they do keep
some stuff
tight
to their chest.
to themselves.
Yeah. Matt, you got any scenarios? You curious about disc selection?
Okay. I'm looking for a overstable, not like MD5 overstable, but like a nice overstable mid for going straight and then finishing, 80 to 90% of the way through the flight. That'll fight some wind, not crash like right on its side, but like have a pretty good hook right near the end after going straight for a while. What am I throwing?
I'm throwing a pretty new MD3. I've just been trying out the new Iron Samurai 4s. They're pretty stable out of the box.
Pretty too.
Very pretty. But I mean, that's a slot that Discmania kind of hasn't figured out, I don't think. I mean, MD4 back in the day was supposed to be that, and it was essentially the same flight as an MD3. And the method, some are stable, some are not. Some beat in really quick, some don't. So I don't think they've figured that out. And an MD5 is essentially a gator, but also not crazy overstable. So yeah, one that I haven't really found that grail disc. Most of the MD3s come out stable enough that I know I can put in a fresh one and it'll fight the wind and still have some finish on it. But I haven't. Sometimes I'll try out the method. Some of them do start off pretty stable, but I've found that they beat in pretty quick, and then you got to have a new one every couple weeks if you want to depend on it or fight the wind. So yeah.
Active Premium Taylor.
Don't sleep on the Taylor.
Seriously, Max got one, and I haven't been the biggest fan of the active line stuff, and I also was like a big bead mid-range guy, which is not Discmania's thing. Yeah. There's no bead on the Taylor, but it's got a little bit more scoop in the underside of the wing. And yeah, they're pretty stable. They're not like get away from you overstable, but definitely workable stable mid. Do like from the small time I've had with it.
Interesting. Cool.
Cool.
Well, we got Max. We have you on for another podcast, maybe two. So if you, the listener, have any questions for Max about what's in his bag or any other questions for Max, feel free to reach out to him or Kyle Klein.
Yeah.
Let us know, Kyle Klein.
Yeah, leave a comment in the YouTubes, and we'll ask it on the next podcast. I'll probably
If
also
you've
put it
got
on Instagram post.
a Glow PD2 that you want somebody to throw on tour, we'll hook a Max up. We'll get it to him. We'll figure out a way to get it to him.
Much appreciated.
Check your closets. Glow PD2s.
Glow PD2.
You'll never throw it on tour, so why don't you let a professional do it?
Yeah, totally. All right. We are running out of time on today's podcast, but we will play a game. We are going to have another debate, and this will be an assigned debate. I did give the guys a heads up of what their positions were. So I guess we'll start off by announcing the news. The Disc Golf Pro Tour has announced their post-production plan. They added Ace Run to the post-production, and I believe they're taking on the FPO2 slot. Jomez is covering MPO and FPO1 first lead card, which is interesting. It's an interesting development.
And I mean, first time FPO2 is going to be
Huge.
post-produced, so that's really cool to see for them.
We will talk about this all after this game because this is all kind of a part of the game. So the other piece of news is that ESPN2 will be showing the USDGC, I believe it is.
Pro Tour Final?
Pro Tour Finals.
Pro
That's what
Tour
it is. Pro
Championship.
Tour Final Championships.
The Barbasol Pro Tour Championship.
Yeah. Shout out Barbasol. All right, but before we get to chatting about that news and what our actual opinions are, you guys have been assigned opinions.
Okay, I did not get briefed on this debate. This is malarkey.
That means you didn't do your homework.
I didn't
You
do my
didn't
homework,
check your Facebook messages,
or I didn't check
Jesse.
my Facebook.
Well, then you're going
Good luck.
last, but there you can see it. It's on the board. He is researching right now. So, but we'll go in reverse order.
No, give it to me first.
So give me
I'm
to you
coming in
first.
hot.
All right. So the question is, which media, like what it did there, which medium, aka disc golf's medium, presents the best opportunity for growth and expansion of the sport? And of course, I'm talking about video production and media. So, if you haven't been listening to the show in the last little while, we have this game where each of our contestants, which will be the three of you, have 1 minute to argue for your assigned opinion, and then we will chat about what our actual opinions are afterwards. Jesse is going first, and he has YouTube, aka post-production, presents the best opportunity for growth and expansion in the sport, and your time starts now.
So yeah, YouTube post-produced. I think there's 2 or 3 things that give it a big lead over the others. The first is the quality of the video itself. The editing process allows you to have the best angles at the best time. There's no camera operator or switchboard errors when you're watching it. So you're presenting the best possible look at what's happening so new players see it and there's more spectacle and glamour. It's 8K, good music, everything's happening the way it's supposed to be. And the other thing is the permanence of it. It's always there. When there's a big moment that happens, you just type it in and it comes up for free. I got 18 seconds, and I think that's the most important thing because when your first friend to find YouTube post-produced coverage sees the most exciting thing ever, they just shoot you the link. You watch it for free, and then you shoot it to your next buddy, and it expands from there. And I got 2 seconds left, and I think that's all I got for you. Thanks, Jomez, for writing my thing for me.
All right, and that was Jesse on YouTube, why it's the best opportunity for expansion in the sport. Next up, we have Matt, and he will be talking about the Disc Golf Network, or in the future, possibly live, just generally live disc golf. Why does live disc golf present the best opportunity of growth in the sport? And your minute starts now.
Name any sport. They're all shown live.
Horseshoes.
Except for horseshoes. Okay. This wasn't a call for actual answer. All sporting events are most exciting when viewed live. Hockey, football, basketball, cornhole, always best live. Think about the Holy Shot. I own a replica disc. It's basically James Conrad's disc from the Holy Shot. What's the better version of the Holy Shot? Jomez on post-produced pretending they weren't there on the course, watching it live and going, oh, wow, what an event. This is spectacular. Or was it Ian Anderson going, oh, no way! I'll tell you which one was more exciting. But in the future, and I'm going to stretch this out to the future, I think, and we're going to patent this technology, everyone's going to have cell phone glasses, and you're going to be able to stream everybody's view from the course in real time live. That's the future of disc golf, baby.
Well said. Well said. That was Matt.
No way! I gotta work on my Ian Anderson impression.
That was Matt on. That was actually, the last one was pretty good. All right. And next up, we have Max, and he is talking about established sports networks, aka ESPN, etc. It could be months later, but it's the bigger networks showing not live disc golf, but disc golf on their networks. And your time starts now.
I think what Jesse and Matt are missing is the best opportunity for growth and expansion of the sport. Sure, you get the quality of a post-produced video or the excitement of watching it live, but without just extensive advertising, you're not really getting a huge influx of new viewers. And reaching out to ESPN, CBS Sports, that's going to get a lot of people who aren't going to normally see disc golf just randomly flicking through the channels and be like, oh, what's this? Cool. I'm a disc golf fan now. So I think just reaching those groups of people that see it without watching it on YouTube, that'll be the biggest addition to the sport. And you can basically take all the pros of post-produced, like Jesse was talking about, and add it to the ESPN feeds, because that's what they're basically using.
All right, there you go.
Okay, now I get my rebuttal.
All right. I will declare a winner first. I think actually Jesse wins this one. I think he brought up the most points with the actual expansion of the sport, and why, generally the bringing up the quality and everything, and why that's important for the expansion. Close second to Max, though. They were really close. I was having a hard time deciding between you two. Matt, unfortunately, you didn't really touch on the expansion. You touched on why disc golf live is a great medium, but why it's not the best opportunity for growth and expansion. So
if you see a grown man losing his mind over a shot, you're hooked for the rest of your life. There's no.
I do think this is a topic I wish we would have hit earlier in the podcast, because I genuinely think that Max is right about onboarding people. You have to find a way to get it in front of people. The YouTube algorithm isn't just throwing out disc golf coverage to random people, but also these types of sports production companies, they don't necessarily know how to edit and film what's best yet. And then in these sports center and panel show type situations as well, they're so clueless that the language around the sport is almost wrong. And sometimes they almost joke at it a little bit. Like, I remember the Paul Macbeth 18 under on Sports Center. They were making Macbeth Shakespeare jokes the whole time, instead of being like, oh, holy crap, this guy's fantastic at what he does.
But I mean, essentially, they could just pop in the Jomez clip of any round. Like, just take the best rounds of all time, or the most drama. Take the James Conrad round for Worlds and just run it on
Mm-hmm.
ESPN2.
Yeah.
And I'm sure ESPN wants to have their impact on it, but I mean, we already have a finished product basically that you can just
Throw in there.
show to the masses.
Yeah, and Max, you and I were kind of chatting a little bit before while we were waiting, but we were talking about ESPN and this stuff, and we kind of asked the question like, how many people have cable TV, or how many people are actually flicking through channels and then happen to watch or find ESPN2 coverage? You know what I mean? Like, I'd be curious how many, like, they'll get the numbers for how many people watched ESPN2 to watch this. I wonder how many of them were already disc golfers and just tuned in just to see disc golf on ESPN. Kind of interesting. But that being said, you know, having a big name like ESPN attached to disc golf says a lot about the sport. That means that it's growing. That means it's getting better, and that means it's becoming more legitimate. And when casual disc golfers, people that might not watch it, all of a sudden they're like, "Wait, what? This is on ESPN." All of a sudden they might start
I
paying
thought that
attention.
was that thing that we invented when we
Yeah,
found these weird baskets in the woods.
yeah,
You mean that's a thing?
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it is kind of a stamp of approval as well.
Totally.
Like just,
It's like having DiscGolfPark on your podcast.
wow.
That
Oh,
means
yeah.
it's
Full
legit,
circle.
right?
Full circle.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think my opinion though, I do think YouTube still stands to have the largest impact on it, just because, and Disc Golf Network, it's great, but there's also a lot of disc golfers that don't have Disc Golf Network, that don't watch live. They go to post produce. I personally haven't watched post produce in probably a year, just because I have gotten the disc golf live, and it's a nice thing to have on the background. But I think just for growth and expansion alone, I think YouTube presents the possibly the best platform.
Yeah, I think Disc Golf Network is actually not good at all. It's very much a service for established disc golfers.
Yeah.
It's probably the best way for big time disc golf fans to take in disc golf coverage, because like you said, Matt, the tension, everything, it's all building, it's all live, the reactions
It's
are
so much
candid.
more exciting. If what you're looking for is excitement, there is no better version of it than live while it's happening. Especially the commentary, you just can't fake organic reactions to amazing sporting events. And like the best disc golf tournaments, it's like, a 3-person playoff at the after an exciting final round, and it's everyone's on pins and needles, and if you don't birdie you lose, and there's really no replacement for that. But the outreach is such a big deal that a good post-produced round is probably going to get more new eyeballs. It's half an hour, 40 minutes a round, or per 9. It cuts out a lot of the walking around because there's a lot of wasted space. Even they're getting better on the live coverage of having shots banked up, but it's still an ebb and flow, and you don't get that in the post-produced. And also for disc golfers, like during the summer, I'm trying to get out and play disc golf on the weekend as much as possible.
You don't want to be sitting
And
on your
there's
couch watching
tournaments.
live.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, I guess the debate is whether or not YouTube has the potential to get new viewers over established sports networks now. Because I mean, I guess if you think of all the kids that are sitting on YouTube, I mean, that's probably just as much of a chance, if not bigger of a chance, than people flicking through cable networks. So I mean, live disc golf is definitely the most exciting. But as a package, the post-produced is a lot more visually appealing to a new player. Like, they don't care if it's live. They don't really care about the nuance of Germ and Nate already knowing what's happening, and they give a little half-hearted reaction to something exciting. If they just see the glitzy Jomez Pro post-produced editing, I think that's what's going to attract new watchers.
And I think we already even mentioned it. Like, we're talking about onboarding young kids because they spend a lot of time on YouTube and stuff like that. How many families that have kids between the ages of 12 and 15 even have traditional TV, cable, and
Mhm.
stuff like that anymore. Right?
Yeah.
I don't. I've got my 4 streaming services I want to watch the shows on, and if I want to know what's happening in the news, I type in CBC in Google Chrome and press enter.
Yeah. I don't know how the like ESPN streaming service works. Like, would you see ESPN2 disc golf? Is it just like a channel guide?
Yeah, so I have TSN because we're in Canada. And yeah, it shows you what's live at the time. You just swipe left and right on it. But again, I think the monthly payments for TSN for me, I think are more than any of my other subscription services. I want to say that's like $20 a month versus 10 for most of my other ones. And so Hockey Night in Canada is free on CBC. If there's a big event like the World Cup is on, I'll subscribe for a month so I can catch it, and then I cancel my subscription.
Mhm.
So I'm not flipping back and forth to see if something on the second, third, or fourth.
Yeah. Most people
channel
are
has
going
something.
to it for a specific reason.
Yeah, it's 7:00 and my
Blinders on.
basketball game is starting.
Fair.
There is something to be said for the DGN model. It works for Formula One, for example. I signed up for the F1 TV last year, and they focus the entirety of their app experience on just, Formula One. And so you've got multiple camera angles that you can switch. And I know the difference in money is like 1,000 to 1 to disc golf.
A million to 1.
Yeah, 1,000,000 to 1. But you've got like different angles, different commentary streams you can switch between, and then you only have to pay for it during the season. Like, DGN, you can sign up if you want to start with Las Vegas Challenge and then unsubscribe for the winter months. You can do that. You can, keep paying for it and watching their, nice original content. F1 TV does the same thing. They have like a lot of off-season content that's really interesting. And so I think there is a market for that kind of thing for, like we said, the hardcore fans that are just like, man, this is my sport and I want to totally immerse myself in it. I think the idea of an app where, somebody like the tour can fully focus on a really complete experience. I think there's something to be said for that. And I think that will still be a model.
Mhm.
But I think
think-
you do still need the ancillary models of, YouTube.
Yeah, it's just a matter of getting DGN to that top level of editing commentary. I mean, not that it's bad, right? Or, I mean, you just said that
It's
it was
made
bad,
it's made leaps
but
and bounds.
It's
It's
made
it's noticeably
a lot of
better.
progress.
What did I say was bad?
You literally
start,
just said.
started it off saying
Literally just said.
run it back. Anyways,
No, what specific thing? Because
I
mean,
think
You said the
they're
disc golf network.
I think
in
they're
live-
doing
Live disc golf. You didn't say that. You didn't say it was bad. You
Oh,
said,
I just said the quality and
Yes.
Jomez is better. I
Yes.
didn't say it was bad. Don't put words in my mouth. Ian Anderson,
roll
I
it back.
love you.
Roll it back.
Yep.
But they will get to a point where that's going to be a great experience.
Yeah.
A lot of people still have issues with even just the streaming of it, just
Yeah.
streaming issues. Getting live disc golf to a platform for everybody to see, that still is an issue sometimes.
Yeah.
So if they can get it so it's running like a machine, then that'll be great. Because if it is that really high quality stuff, people are gonna subscribe for sure.
I do have one suggestion for the Disc Golf Network, and if Kyle Klein's listening, then he can pass it on for us. You have to be able to rewind, like, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like what the way it works right now is I think you can rewind, but as soon as the live ends, they have to shut the whole thing down and re-upload it so that you can watch it again. So then that takes a couple hours.
And you can't pause it to go play a round of disc golf and then come back and resume
Exactly.
where you were again.
Yeah, I was gonna bring that point up earlier too. Sometimes when I'm watching live, like I don't have all day to
Don't
have it on,
6
so
hours to watch it.
I'm gonna come back to it, and I'd like to start where I left off, but that doesn't really work in their current scheme. But that being said, hopefully that's something they work on. I'm pretty sure they're aware of that issue. And there's just one more little point on this is, what do you guys think is the next step, or what do you think is the process to get Disc Golf Network or Live Disc Golf on live ESPN?
Money.
Yeah, it's money. Barbasol need to chalk up a couple more bucks here.
I mean, I think the issue there is disc golf courses aren't golf courses, and
Yeah.
it'll be tough to have 20, I don't know how many cameras are on a
Yeah,
golf
right.
golf course.
3
You
per
can't
hole.
have them in the woods. Like, you can't have camera, like you're gonna have like little tiny,
They're like trail cameras
yeah.
that people use to watch deer at night.
But like looking at the drone footage on some of these tournaments,
Yeah.
it's come a long ways.
Yeah.
Although it is a bit annoying when you're playing and you can hear a drone over your head. But yeah, the number of cameras might be an issue. Of course, you can start small and work your way up to more and more. But that's what in my head. That's what's the next puzzle piece to get to a live broadcasted ESPN disc golf network.
Yeah, like a no missed moments
Yeah.
setup. And he didn't even cover what I thought is that most of these not most of these courses, a lot of these courses, the service isn't good enough for great internet, which means oftentimes the quality suffers. And it's no fault of the camera or the switching or anything. Suddenly you're watching Kyle Klein's pixels throw, and it persists for minutes or tens of minutes at a time before coming back. Or
Yeah, there's still a couple of courses where they're like, well, we're just not going to have any coverage for holes 8 through 11.
Northwoods. Is it North?
Yeah.
Ledgestone.
Northwoods is back.
Yeah.
Bad for that.
Yeah. I think Ledgestone, they only have 9 coverage or something.
Yeah, I mean, there's
Those
a big
woods
leap
are
from
thick.
whatever like mesh technology they're using in a satellite truck. Like you go to a hockey game and there's, the biggest RV you've ever seen with a satellite just sticking off the back. Like there's a big step up cost wise to having good communications to be able to stream a signal in high definition out to the world.
Mm-hmm. All interesting stuff. If you're listening to this and you haven't watched disc golf, period, watch disc golf.
Don't watch
Look
us.
up Park
Watch
Pro
disc
on
golf.
YouTube
What do you do of listening and watching to us? Please
Yeah.
keep listening and watching to us.
and tell your
Join our-
friends.
Yeah, tell your friends. Join our Patreon. All that other stuff.
But check out the
seriously,
Park Pro YouTube channel if you're not
Yeah.
subscribed,
Totally.
because there's some good disc golf there, and there's going to be even more good disc golf coming.
Yeah, real soon. In fact, on that note, we actually do have a new patron on our Patreon, and it's Thomas Kuhn, who will, yes,
TK.
He had to meet a Facebook beforehand.
To ask you when the tournaments were coming up.
He asked me when tournaments were coming up, and then I think,
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if he saw it on my Facebook or whatever, but he watched and he became a fan, and he's supporting us. So for as little as $1.50 a month, you can support us too. And just to let you know, in order to do that $1.50 a month, it is currently $1.50 per post. So this post will go up, and that will cost you $1.50. The next time we post a podcast, it will cost you $1.50. We really appreciate that. But if your budget is literally only $1.50 a month, you can set a maximum amount per month on what you want to spend, and it will cut you off and when you reach that. And to our supporters that don't want to support us on Patreon, give us a like, subscribe, give us comments.
Tell your
#Kyle
friends,
Klein.
please. Tell somebody. It's honestly better. The best advertising we can get is, hey, have you listened to the Northern Flights podcast? Have you checked out Park Pro's YouTube channel? That's the nicest thing you could possibly do for us, listeners and viewers. And it's free. It's so free.
Yeah, thanks to DiscGolfPark and our patrons. So, huge shout out to DiscGolfPark. Thank you again. Really excited to be working with DiscGolfPark on the next. I think it's 8 episodes. So,
Hell yeah.
Huge for us. Anything else, boys?
Congrats on signing with Gateway, Thomas. Excited for you, and hopefully your tournaments in the States go well.
I don't know Thomas Kuhn, but thank you.
Well, you'll get to see him on coverage real soon.
Cool guy, a former Ultimate player, maybe current Ultimate player as well. Slings a disc, and he plays fast.
And short, like Macbeth.
Editor's dream. And he's short, like Macbeth. So he's got to be good, is what you're saying.
Yeah,
That's what I'm saying.
exactly.
Yeah.
All right. I think that does it for tonight. Thank you for listening. And Matt.
Take us away. Do your thing.
Thanks, everyone, from all of us here at Park Pro. If you're going to dream, make sure you dream big. Because if your dreams are big enough, they can never go down the drain. They just won't fit. Unless
Kind of made sense.
you have like a dream plunger. Like a dream plunger makes, or as my parents called it, having kids.